Okay, it's time to talk about the spiritual backstory. In a previous audio, I made reference to it and that I was going to speak on it, so this might take a little while. I might have to split it up in two audios as it comes to me, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about the spiritual backstory. Now, I mentioned before that we live in a society where everybody's just reacting to the result, reacting to the result, but not taking the time to find out the cause. A good scientist, when they go through the scientific method, they have to do a history. They have to find the cause for why this thing is happening. And it applies to different things. So what a good scientist does is they have to do a history. Psychologists are scientists. That's why they have to do a history of their patients before they proceed to treat them. They have to find out the cause of a lot of these things. They have to get to the root of the problem. And unfortunately, we live in a society where everybody is quick to react to something that happened, whether it's someone saying something or doing something, or whether a certain organization gets involved in something. You get so involved in the act, you don't think about where the act came from, and it's about history. Okay? And there's a lot of false history going around out there. You have to be careful who the messenger is that's giving you the history as well. You have to look into their background and see where they're coming from. Find out their motivation as to why they're presenting these false facts. Okay? And these people present themselves very well, like they're trying so hard, and that life is so hard and it's such a burden. And oh, I don't know why this person did this to me. I don't know why this person did that to me. They're the perpetual victim. They're the martyr. They're always jumping in to try to help so many people. And people get so wrapped up and they present this idea that they're so perfect. And I don't have a problem with them. They're so great and so wonderful. And in actuality, they're not. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. And there's always someone who's privy to the backstory. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios and tell you about how the spiritual backstory goes into play. First of all, if you're a person who has a spiritual backstory on someone else's situation and you have not capitalized on it, you have not taken advantage of that information, you've kept it to yourself, you minded your own business, and you lived in your own reality, kudos to you. Because you don't have to. You could put people on blast with facts. You could blackmail people, which I don't suggest you do that, with facts. You could hold people emotionally hostage, emotionally manipulated. You can do that because you were there before all these other people came along. So let me give you the first most common scenario. You have a family that's extended. Okay? Some stuff went down, whether you were the perpetrator or whether it was done to you, never been fully resolved, but everybody kind of just went on with their life and they proclaimed that they're saved and all this old business. But I mean, that tension is still there because it was never really aired out. I mean, you probably never fully expressed yourself in regards to the situation, and they've never fully expressed themselves because unfortunately that's a common family dynamic where, people just kind of go on and never address things. But see, it reflects in the behaviors towards each other. So what this person does years ago, let's say you and this person had this thing, whatever it was, regardless of whose fault it was or whatever it is. Years later, they've gotten married, had children, probably gotten divorced, probably had more children, brought other people into the fold. And now these people are adults. Unfortunately, when it came up to you in conversation, you painted this picture that was not entirely accurate to these people. So now these people have an idea in their mind who you're supposed to be without even interacting with you. And if they do interact with you, this is like months or years after the fact. They're already prejudging who you are. So even when they do interact with you later on, it's going to be on the idea that they already know what's going on with you. It's a huge misunderstanding. So you got the in-laws and you got the children and you got the grandchildren thinking this stuff about you. And then there's a point in time where you're like, you know what, I'm sick of this shit. Because you already know in your mind something's not right. You're wondering why these people are so distant because it's based on this one person who brought them in with this idea of you without even meeting you. In some cases, they hadn't even met you yet. And they already know everything about you. Go figure, huh? And what happens is that some of them will actually put on the defender's cape and play Superman on behalf of these people because these people were such a victim of you. Now, I'm not saying that what you did wasn't wrong. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the reaction of the people after the fact, after you paid for your mistakes and went on about your business. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking to the people who are still wallowing in the bullshit. I'm talking about the people who are evolving, who are going through a process of evolution and have accounted to their creator, who is the only one they need to account to. Have tried to make amends, and these other people operating out of hurt are still creating this bullshit. So what they do is they go ahead and they told the children about you. They told the grandchildren about you. They told the in-laws. And you know what happens when you tell people things? They tell their people. They tell their family members. So when you finally are in the presence of all these other people you haven't met, they've got an idea about you. And then they turn around and they get on the phone or on the email or on the Facebook or whatever and start talking about you to other people that you don't even know. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 people that were brought into an immediate family done turn into 100 people that have never met you, don't know shit about you, and they got this jaded, twisted idea about you because the person who delivered the message has presented such a pretty package, and it's assumed that they are the know-all, be-all, and that they got wings coming out their back. Now, who's to blame in this situation? The person who's told the story or the people who were dumb enough to listen without looking at both sides of the story? I blame everybody. Okay? So what happens in the spiritual backstory is, for most of us who are evolved, we don't even go on that level of trying to correct anything with a bunch of strangers. They're non-factors. They weren't there through your deliverance. And I've always said that if they were not part of the process, they cannot partake of the product. You need to carry that around in your heart. It doesn't matter what somebody behind a pulpit or a podium or behind a speaker or anything that tells you that you need to change your attitude. No, sometimes you have to leave people the hell alone. Sometimes you got to back off. Sometimes you got to tell them that you're not welcome. Sometimes you got to do that. And I don't care what anybody thinks in that regard. This, it's reality, okay? You can't let everybody in your life just because you've gotten saved or whatever. No, because you could be inviting the wrong things into your life. But anyway, I'll talk about that in another audio. One thing that you have to do is learn how to use your deductive reasoning skills. I mean, people nowadays are just totally lacking deductive reasoning skills. They don't know how to investigate shit. Even the investigators out there with some of these law enforcement organizations don't know how to properly investigate shit. I'm wondering where they came from. Don't you realize, when you look at the whole situation, that one person was there before the children showed up. That person was there before the grandchildren showed up. That person was there before the in-law showed up. That person was there before the supervisor showed up. They were there before the preacher showed up. They were there, and there was a story before all these people came along. There was a story before all these people came along, and this is the part that people are missing. So what? You have a great and wonderful relationship with this person, but they are not the original player. And if you're one of these people that just came into someone's life and, and this person has gone through XYZ and you're trying to be protector and everything else, and you got this jaded picture about somebody that this person refers to who's supposed to be the source of all the troubles in the world, something's wrong with you if you're not going to sit there and think about the backstory. How are you not going to think about the story that occurred before you met this person? And this only applies to people who aren't healed from the situation. If you're healed and you moved on, then fine. You don't have any business even addressing any of this. You would have a healthy relationship with all the players, regardless of what happened, because you've moved on. I'm talking about the people that already got an idea about something and somebody they don't even know anything about based on third-hand information, and y'all know how I feel about that. In my mind, these people aren't intelligent at all. You've already been prejudged. So my attitude is this. I'm not going to bend over backwards for these people. If they're dumb enough to believe every single thing that comes out of this one hurt, damaged person's mouth about somebody else without taking the time to figure out shit on their own and get the spiritual backstory, I don't want them in their life. I don't want them in my life. Stay where you're at. Because you ain't smart enough to roll with this. I don't want you. Some of y'all need to investigate the reason why you feel about a total stranger. Think about it. There are some of you right now that's sitting up here feeling a certain type of way from a total stranger because one person started a story and spread it around with a whole bunch of other people, and those people hadn't even encountered that stranger. So by the time it gets back to you, you're figuring, oh, I heard it from several sources. But where did those sources get it from? The same person you looking in the face every damn day. They started this shit. And then they're wondering why they're still having suffering in their life, because they're bearing all this false witness in order to look like a victim, in order to look like the martyr. Oh, they're such a good person. I don't know why people do them like that. It's because they don't know how to keep their mouth shut. They don't take time to think. They're not held accountable for their own actions. And all they do is either play the victim or play like they're perfect all the time. That is just too much emotional stress and bullshit to carry around. So yeah, they need to go through something. They need a lesson in humility. That's what they need. So pardon me if you come back to me later on after the fact and tell me that they're suffering. What am I supposed to do? I ain't feeling sorry for nobody. Because they're not humble. I know people right now in their hospital bed still acting crazy. Don't know if they're going to make it the next damn day, or don't know if they're going to be coming back to the hospital again. I'm supposed to feel, oh, so-and-so in the hospital, and I'm a human being too. I can't be sitting up here doling out all kind of sympathy for people who don't give a damn about me. Where was my sympathy when I needed it? Y'all need to know how to defend yourself. I'm going to keep talking about defending yourself. But yeah, that's the spiritual backstory. All these other people that came years after the fact, you and this person had a dynamic and had a situation going on way before they came, but ain't nobody asking about that. Ain't nobody asking about that. So just watch out for these people. Pray that they get some clarity in their life, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, and I'm going to let you guys go. What's going to happen is they're going to hang around that person for a while, and they're going to start they're going to start peeping the game, and they're going to understand why there is a divide with you and them in the first place. Because that person's going to show them who they really are. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. Peace to you.